Okay, well, you got your welcome. Listen, we're glad you're here. This is a special time for me with the family, all respects for the family, everybody, the respective places here. Harriet Tubman is just like my natural born mother. I share her life and legacy a lot, but it really does honor me to be able to be in a place to be able to be a part of this. So feel welcome. After the event's over, as you see, there's art all around the building, and we'll open the building up so everybody can see the whole art show. It's an art show called Taste of Freedom, so enjoy.
Thank you so much, Alex and Lisa. Also, I'd like to go ahead at this time, give a shout out to Holly Gilpin, the Director of the Office of Tourism for Dorchester County. Holly, please stand. She's been wonderful and giving me names to who to invite and be part of this. And she's also hosting a little reception back after the unveiling. So thank you, Holly. Also, I want to go ahead and recognize Susan Banks, who's the Director of Economic Development. Thank you for coming and thank you for all you do. So at this time, let's go ahead and start. I just want to recognize that today, September 17th, is the exact date where Harriet Tubman first launched and left for her freedom, 176 years ago today. So this is a very, very important date. She left with her two brothers, but had to turn around. They were fearful. But then a few months later, she did on her own go to freedom. And this afternoon, what I want to do is read some words that she had when she reached the north of the Mason-Dixon line and what she thought. Because, none of us can ever understand what it would have been like to be in that sort of system. So when she crossed, this is what she said. She said, "When I found I had crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through the trees and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven." So those are her words, and we've heard them before, whether it was in the movie or whether it's some of the interpretive material we've seen, but I think it's important that we remember that 176 years ago, and it really wasn't that long ago. So it's something to kind of think about and remember as we remember her and have this unveiling today. So the Maryland Department of Transportation, in partnership with the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, has taken on the task of addressing over 50 historical markers on Black history that contain inaccurate facts, unbalanced narratives, and insensitive language. In February, we took down the Frederick Douglass marker and we replaced that one. Today, we are replacing a Harriet Tubman marker that has stood in Bucktown since 1967 along Greenbrier Road. It stands in front of the historic Brodus Farm, and this, of course, was the home of the former enslaver of Harriet, her mother, and her siblings. Today, it will be replaced with a new and historically accurate monument. There were three problems with this old marker from 1967. First, Tubman was mentioned as being from Bucktown, when in truth, she was born 10 miles from there at the end of Harrisville Road on the farm of Anthony Thompson. In June, we replaced a new marker at the Wolford Country Store highlighting her birthplace, and I know many of you were there for that. The second issue with that old sign was that it claims that she rescued 300 people from slavery. We have documented at least 70. Of course, that's still a huge number, especially all the trips she made back. Now, what's going to happen to this old Tubman sign? Well, the old Tubman sign will be dropped off here today to be interpreted in the Freedom Center. Alex and Lisa will use this worn-out marker to highlight Harriet Tubman and underscore the importance of telling accurate and difficult history. Indeed, acknowledging and understanding the tragedy of slavery provides a roadmap to reparative change. At MDOT, we embrace historical reckoning and memorialization of our past using archaeology stewardship and history telling along our transportation routes. Through this marker replacement process, there is an emphasis on involving descendants and community members in the crafting of the words that are then cast in metal to stand indefinitely along our roadways. So, the third correction on this new marker is consultation with Tubman relatives. Tina Wyatt, the great-great-great-grandniece, and Douglas Mitchell, a many-great-grandnephew, are credited with the drafting of the text, and Tina's with us today. While Harriet Tubman's life could never be captured in 70 words, we did our best to highlight her 13 missions to bring her community and family north, her service to the Union Army, and her life in Auburn, New York, where she established a home for those who were aged and unable to care for themselves. Through MDOT's work here in Dorchester County, we have met relatives of Harriet Tubman and Ben Ross. Our team has found the artifacts from their ancestors in the wet ground in the form of broken teacups and plates, lost buttons, and brick foundations. Inside one home was a West African spirit bundle made for protection of them in their home. We have also met the descendants of Tubman's friends and neighbors. Many have roots along White Marsh Road, south of Madison. Here, Malone's church and cemetery still stand witness to a Black culture rooted in family and faith. Knowing many of them as my friends and partners in raising up Black history along the Underground Railroad, I know exactly where Tubman found her strength, her grit, and determination. While many of the relatives and friends of Tubman were able to escape to freedom, many others stayed behind with their families. Generations of this community are still living here today. At this time, I want to be able to recognize the Ross relatives. So if you're a Ross relative, could I please have you stand? You can go and sit down, that's fine. Please be seated. I also want to go ahead and recognize the Malone's church community. We have some members here today with us. I want to thank you all for your time, history, and memories, and trusting us with your family histories and stories. We do everything we can with our heart to make sure that those stories are raised up. So thank you. So those who stood hold a collective memory of what life was like in the past. There are family stories and oral histories that remember facts that modern-day historians believe they found. In reality, Tubman's birthplace was always the Harrisville area, and they knew that. And she married on the sacred ground where Malone's church stands today. Truly, if you ever want to know more about someone, visit their birthplace. Visiting and walking the grounds where Tubman, her family, and her community lived, worked, and worshiped brings you closer to her. There is a feeling and an understanding that defies words. So at this time, I'd like to welcome our Maryland Assistant Secretary of Transportation, Joanna Green, to say a few words.
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here again in Cambridge. Thank you, Dr. Julie, and thank you for all of you for joining us here today. I also want to say hello to the Green family. You know, I'm a Green, you're a Green. I love to hear the Greens are doing great things. I would also like to recognize Harriet Tubman's relatives, the Ross family, for their participation and support for this monument. We really, really appreciate you all continuing to support our efforts and to be there holding our hands every step of the way. I also want to do a special thank you, this is the thank you time, to Tina Wyatt and Douglas Mitchell, who helped us in, again, drafting the language for the narrative. That's important to have as accurate a statement as possible. We really, really appreciate that. And finally, I have to thank one of my partners over at MDOT, State Highway Administrator Will Pines, and the entire SHA team. These folks are tireless. They're always out. They come to support these events. And they are the folks who maintain the roads that can keep us all connected, whether it's through bridges, whether it's through rural highways. We really appreciate the work that our SHA folks do. Not only do they keep Maryland moving and maintaining, they also fund and install and maintain these historical markers. So just think about it. Where else have you heard about a state highway administration being committed to historical markers? And we really appreciate that. So today is a special moment. We are gathered here during International Underground Railroad Month and on the date that Harriet Tubman escaped slavery. I mean, I want us all to take that moment as we stand and we hear about revisionist history and all those things happening. We are standing here in defiance and acknowledging that this really did happen. So take it all in. And on behalf of Governor Moore, Lieutenant Governor Miller, Aruna Miller, Acting Maryland Transportation Secretary Samantha Biddle, I'm proud to be here to celebrate the unveiling and updating of this historical marker. It really is a testament to her life. The fact that there is a legacy moment, a moment to acknowledge courage, and the courage of a woman, a black woman. You'll see this sign, and it showcases her contributions to American history, not just black history, this is American history, and the fight for all of our freedoms. Because if one of us is not free, none of us are free, right? This marker also corrects the record. As I said, it's important to tell the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it makes people feel. The new sign that we're unveiling today correctly notes her birthplace and the number of people she courageously helped. I mean, many of us are lucky to help 1 or 2 people in our life. Think about the people she helped, right? And after today's event, and the marker is placed in an accurate location around the Greenbrier Road, in front of the Brodus Farm, I hope you go visit. I hope you take other generations to go see this. The former sign will be donated, as you know, here, so you can bring them here to see before and after, right? So you get a reason to come support the Greens. I'm always going to give a shout out to the Greens, right? And again, we just want to know that there is an importance to acknowledging our history. Established in 1930, the Historical Road Marker Program has been informing travelers about Maryland's history for about 95 years. So we're not new to this, we're true to this in Maryland, right? And today we have almost 800 of those signs, which means that you all have 800 assignments to walk around and, check it out and let us know if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? And these markers, I mean, they do everything. They talk about all the vast contributions and the accomplishments that Maryland has in shaping American history, not just Maryland history. So the Maryland Department of Transportation and the Maryland Historical Trust are reviewing the state's historical markers and correcting ones as we find them. So again, you have 800 assignments to go out there. We can't do it alone, we need you too. So I personally look forward to ensuring the history of these communities are depicted accurately and appropriately and reflecting the true sentiment of what they were meant to be. So reading those signs and learning more about our shared history is important to all of us. Again, I thank you for allowing me to come and be here today, and it's a sincere pleasure to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and introduce and invite up to the podium Delegate Sherry Sample Hughes.
It's okay, you can keep it. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank God we are in this place and we have arrived safely, we're here peacefully, and we can just reflect on the humbleness, the courageousness, and the boldness that Harriet Tubman has exhibited, and it's just going right down through the years, and it rests within each and every one of us, is my belief. I'd like to first and foremost certainly thank the Greens, opening your doors once again and seeing everything that is flourishing within the vision that you had. I had the opportunity to have a district meeting here about 2 years ago, and we were getting the word out to the public, exchanging information, and right in this very room, and as we are doing today, reflecting and educating at the same time. And yes, for the 800 assignments, I'm willing to take it. I like to travel. I'm traveling all over the U.S. and wherever, but right here in our great state of Maryland, we have a lot to be thankful for. Bring you greetings from the Maryland General Assembly. Should have started with that, but this is something that we are going to have to continue to share with many generations to come, that this is where we are in Dorchester County. It's rich history, and it must be held to the highest regard. Everyone doesn't have that same feeling or understanding of what it means, because we're still fighting today. We're still fighting each and every day for freedom and for making sure that the light that Harriet held and carried with her, we have to continue in that same fashion, because there's a lot to do. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of things that people are in need of. And so I just thank God for this opportunity to be with you today, but then also to thank God that I'm in a position to help be that light. And I just want each and every one of you to keep all of us accountable. Because there are days where we all weary, we all tired, but we still have a lot of work to do, but we can do it. In the Ross family, thank you for holding us accountable, but keeping the good fight ahead of us and doing what we need to do. So thank you again for allowing me to be here, and thank you for making sure this happens. Because I know your program is expanding, and you have certain times of year that you're now accepting applications to get markers. So this is important. This is important. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, David. This time, I'd like to introduce and invite up Mike Detmer, who's the Vice President of the Dorchester County Council.
Thanks, Julie. I hope it's okay. I actually have 3 sets of greetings to bring today. First, I'd like to bring you greetings from Congressman Harris, who wasn't able to join today. I will say that when he spoke at the last unveiling, there's one part that I'm going to touch on in my brief remarks, is that he pointed to Harriet Tubman's heroism and her bravery. That's tied in with my second greeting today. It's my honor to be a member of the Maryland Veterans Commission representing this area. And so therefore I bring you greetings from Governor Moore and Acting Secretary of the Department of Veterans and Military Families, Secretary Rothstein. And I bring those greetings in honor of General Tubman. Again, that same thread of bravery, whether in wartime or de facto wartime, when the system was at war with her freedom and the freedom of many other people. And the third set of greetings, last but not least, is on behalf of the Dorchester County Council and the people of Dorchester. And I would say that as somebody that grew up in this area, and as a little boy even traveled some of these same areas that Harriet Tubman traveled. You know, as a former history teacher, as somebody that has spent many hours trying to figure out how do I communicate this historical situation to the people that it really matters to the future, to kids, to people that still have a lot of their life, the majority of their life in front of them. The really striking thing for me is not just that we have an icon here that's portrayed at the walls in this Freedom Center, but that we have a person, and that's so really poetic and fitting, that on this day in history is when she took her first journey of freedom. This is a real person with real emotions. You couldn't have read a better passage, Julie, than to illustrate the sensory feeling that she had when she first got to freedom, of the sun and just her physical feelings. This was a real person. She did not know the end of the story. She did not know how it would turn out every night when the sun set and every day when the sun rose. And that time that she took that first step back into a place when she was putting her own freedom at risk is incredible, not only moral courage, but unbelievable physical courage. Imagine leaving this day of the calendar with the weather the way it is and having to go as far as she went, miles on foot, is really, really amazing. This is a real person, a real Dorchester County, and we're so proud of her, and I'm so grateful for the chance to be here and share in this very fitting recognition. And Julie, we really commend your dedication to accuracy. Miss Tina and my friend Douglas Mitchell, who I met the first time. I remember Douglas laying on the ground getting pictures as they were installing the statue. And I've talked with him many times since, and I know he's dedicated to telling the story, but I'm so grateful to be part of this and this effort to really truly recognize her. Not only this icon is certainly worthy of recognition, but she's worthy of that recognition because she was a person who lived with such bravery and integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Now I'd like to go ahead and welcome Kimberly Cradaville from Senator Alsobrook's office.
Good afternoon. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today. As Julie said, my name is Kimberly Cradaville, and I bring greetings from Senator Alsobrook's. She gave me a brief statement to read to you all today. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in person today. Today's historical marker unveiling ceremony is part of a special duty we have as Marylanders and as Americans, a duty to remember our history. There are few American stories more worthy of celebration than the one of Harriet Tubman. She is an example of resilience and determination, an example of defiance in the face of cruelty, an example of how a tiny woman born into slavery in Dorchester County had the power to change the world. Harriet's powerful story wouldn't have been possible without saving herself, but she would have been been lost to history without her unwavering desire to lift others from a life of oppression. And she extended her work to uplift far more people, fighting for women's suffrage and the rights of vulnerable people like the disabled and aged. Her story echoes because her taste of freedom was so good that she had to share it with someone else. Her legacy endures because of the liberty she helped others find. It's a legacy that should live on in us. It's a legacy that should live on in us in how we move through society and how we relate to each other. That's why our duty to make sure this powerful example, like Harriet's, aren't ever forgotten. Our history is not just an account of what we've done, it's a guide of what we have left to do. It's not just a retelling of where we've been, but it's also an inspiration of where we can go. Thank you to the Maryland Department of Transportation, Dorchester County, and the Harriet Tubman Freedom Center for all you do for helping to keep this history alive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. At this time, I'd like to welcome up from Senator Chris Van Hollen's office, Alyssa Hastings, who's the Eastern Shore Regional Director. Thank you, Julie. Hi, it's great to be with you all. I'm Alyssa Hastings. I'm the Eastern Shore Regional Director for Senator Van Hollen. The Senate is in session today, so the Senator was really disappointed he couldn't be here, but he sent me with a statement that he wanted me to read for you all. Good afternoon. I regret that I cannot join you in person, but I'm grateful to the Harriet Tubman Freedom Center for the chance to share a few words. 176 years after she first attempted to escape from slavery, Harriet Tubman remains an enduring avatar of freedom. The example of her selfless courage, not only liberating herself from bondage on the Eastern Shore, but returning here over and over again to liberate others, has inspired Americans for generations. When we remember her, we better ourselves. I'd like to thank the state and local officials, the Tubman relatives, and community members who worked on this marker to keep her legacy alive. I'm proud to be your partner in that mission. In the Senate, I'm working to put Harriet Tubman's face on the $20 bill and bring a statue of her likeness to the United States Capitol. I've also worked to establish the National Park Service Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad National Historical Site in Dorchester County and expand the National Underground Railroad Network to Freedom program, which includes historical sites throughout Maryland. And I oppose any attempts to erase Black history from classrooms, libraries, and historic sites. We must learn from our history, all of our history, not bury it. Together, we will preserve the memory of people like Harriet Tubman, and more importantly, we will complete her unfinished work, building a country where everyone enjoys freedom, equality, and dignity. Thank you. Now it's time to hear from the relatives and descendants. Now I'd like to go ahead and welcome up to the podium to say a few words Tina Wyatt, who is Harriet Tubman's great-great-great-grandniece. Tina?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Maryland Department of Transportation, Joanna, for having me here, and also for making me a part of everything that you were doing to get more information and on the days and things like that. And I know that Douglas enjoyed all of that, and also enjoyed working on the link for the marker, which is so important now. So important. And what I want to say also is to thank you to the Greens for allowing us to be here today. This is a wonderful, wonderful place. I didn't even know it was here. And so I'm going to spread the word. Another place to promote the legacy of Aunt Harriet. This is great. So thank you. She was an ordinary woman whose life began and endured hardship, yet she went on to do extraordinary feats. To me, she is unheard. And at the age of 27 years after self-liberation, she became the hub and eventually the matriarch of my family in all over New York. After seeing 3 of her older siblings being sold away, the last, and they were all women. The last one being my great-great-great-grandmother sold. And she was sold away from her infant child. She knew it was time to take her leave. However, liberation felt hollow without the family that was left in bondage, and she continued to return until all were out, including her parents. When she took us up north, because we were still being sought after, she changed our names to Stewart so that we would go undetected. Aunt Harriet was a courageous woman that decided to step out in faith and letting God lead her on her journey, displaying love and returning, and also willing to take non-family members and giving direction to many more to freedom. And one of those people that she gave directions to, was another one of my relatives and that made it up north, and that was Thomas Elliott. So Thomas Elliott is known in Maryland as one of the Dover Eight. Now, in that situation, he was given direction by Aunt Harriet because she could not take him at that time. And there was a group of them were directed to go to one specific place on her network, and a network person that she used all the time. But he betrayed her and betrayed the men that were there escaping. And they got caught, were arrested, put into a place high up, jumped from that place, and escaped again, this time successful. Now, when Thomas Elliott jumped, he wanted to go back and get the man who had betrayed him. But the rest of them encouraged him, now let's keep going, let's keep going. We got bigger fish to fry, farther ahead. So that's what they did, and then he married my great-great-grandmother, that infant child that was left by soul when she was sold away. And that's why I'm here. So, thank you. I'm here. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about, because the marker talks about her start here. It also talks about her end in New York. And on her property, she has multiple dwellings. And she was, the one thing I want to make you know about that is that when you ever feel like you can't do something, you want to give up or too old or whatever, I think it was in her mid to late 70s or early 80s when she purchased that last piece of property. And that was, she named that the John Brown home. And so, never say you can't do anything because you're too old. I tell myself that quite frequently. Aunt Harriet was a change agent, willing to fight for it. And that's what we have to be, especially now. We have to be willing to fight for what we think is not right. This led her, into my opinion, one of the most unselfish periods of her life. Believing that enslavement was next to hell, she fought to free the enslaved by answering the call to serve, to help preserve the Union. Now, She also, in helping to preserve the Union, she preserved what she thought was democracy. And fighting for that, freeing the enslaved, was the only way to continue and make it even greater by including the enslaved that were free and then allowing them to fight alongside the other men. That way they took part in helping to make this country their own. But we have to also remember that where we stand in that country right now, seeing the horror, like I said before, of watching her family being sold away, one by one, and how it devastated them. It devastated the family, she said. And she knew that her time was near for her to be sold away as well, because she was always regarded as being weak because of the hit on the head and not able to do certain things and being left with the narcolepsy where she would fall asleep. But we have to remember that what that does to a person when you're watching someone that you love, watching the cries, the fears, and all like that, that horror, that hardship. That kept happening over and over and over again for hundreds of years. And that leaves scars, deep scars, that need to be healed. So that's what we're continuing to do today, is to heal, generational healing from those deep, deep scars. Now, when she was in the Civil War, the reason why I feel like it was one of the most unselfish periods is because she was already free, even though they didn't count her as free, because they felt like, you still belong to us. But, you own yourself. No one else can own you. So she regarded herself as being free. And while down there, she was really good at camouflage, of hiding in plain sight. That was one of the reasons why she was asked to by the governor of Massachusetts to come and take part. Also to be a part of the Port Royal experiment, where the newly freed would learn how to use skills, how to make money, learn how to, they would get educated on different things. Aunt Harriet worked a long time on that, as while she was also nursing, being a spy, being a scout. Of course, they call it something different now. But when she was the CIA director at the time, Burns, I think, said that they used her, what she did as an intelligence area, as they looked to that to teach them now what they should do in terms of that, because she was so successful at it. And also, she received an award for the Knowlton Medal Award already, and that was for integrity, integrity on the field. Many people, soldiers, retired people, they get that award when they have done so well in the Army. So she was also one of those, and they recognized her contributions as a spy and scout, because that was denied to her in her pension. So, but they acknowledged it, and so she finally got that. She also, during the Civil War, gave up her right to go into commissary. When, she could have anything she wanted. She could get on any transport she wanted at any time. She could go to the commissary to get goods at any time. But the other soldiers that were enlisted, they could not do that. They had to get their goods, things that they had on use every day, food, everything like that. They had to get that from a vendor on the street. And that vendor could charge them whatever they wanted. So they complained. Why don't you get it up? We can't. So she gave it up. And she stopped. She started making gingerbread. She started making cookies. And that was to sell to make money, to try to help take care of herself while she was there. But she also used it to show the newly enslaved, this is what you do. You have a people right here that you can market to, that you can sell these goods to. You can wash their clothes and they can pay for it. So all those things became ways to show people what they could do and not have to depend on anyone but themselves. So for me, that time, especially because she could have been taken back into slavery, but I don't think that they would have taken her back. They would have taken her, tortured her, and killed her, because she was someone that took away their way of living, and she was really good at it. So today, we are being told what we can or cannot share about our story, a story that is the American story, showing the growth for a country that began to evolve into greatness, overcoming its weaknesses. And that's what our story shows and tells. No, we haven't gotten to the place where we should be, but we have overcome so much. The country has changed so much, and in many ways supported that growth. But now we're at a place where yesterday's enslavement is today's dictatorship. So not allowing you to lead your own life, telling you what you can or cannot say and do. And if you don't comply, you're punished as a result. But I'll leave you with this. I'm Harriet. Trusted God. And he took her to many places called there. Now, when you go to the place that God tells you is there, that's where you get all your provisions. That's where you get everything you need. So, I'm Harriet. When she was going to the next place, transition. Her last spoken words were a legacy of faith and a legacy of love. This was her call to action for those who were left behind. And those words said, give my love to the churches. Tell women to stand firm. I go to prepare a place for you. What earthly place, and this is my challenge to you, what earthly place are there and are you called for? That's what you need to find out and complete that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Tonette Cuffey, a Ross relative. Tonette?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So my cousin went new school with her iPad. I'm going old school with my paper. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to thank Alex and Lisa for inviting us to your place. It's beautiful. And on the behalf of the Ross family, I want to thank the Maryland Department of Transportation and the Maryland Historical Trust for inviting us to share in another historic unveiling. We would also like to thank MDOT's leadership as well, and also our good friend Julie, Dr. Julie Shablitsky. So my name is Tonette Cuffey. I stand here as a descendant of Owen Ross, and as family to the Honorable Brigadier General Harriet Ross Tubman. Though we are not standing directly on her birthplace grounds today, let me be clear. Harriet's spirit is here. I feel her with me as I speak, moving through this gathering and reminding us why we are here. So this moment is not about unveiling a marker. This moment is about unveiling truth. It is about unveiling the strength of a woman born into chains, yet destined to break them. It is about unveiling the courage that was planted in her heart by her parents, Ben and Rick Ross. We cannot talk about Harriet without talking about them. It was her father who taught her to read the land, to hear the whispers of the trees, and to navigate by God's stars. It was her mother who taught her faith, resilience, and unshakable will to survive. Their struggles and their pain, their endurance became Harriet's inheritance. And it became the foundation for freedom for generations to come. Harriet was not only shaped by this land, but she herself shaped our county, our nation, and the world. She turned Dorchester County soil of suffering into soil of strength. Yes. And from here she rose. From here she walked. From here she carried hundreds, maybe thousands along the road to freedom. Yes, the state records may only have record of 70 souls that Harriet led, but we, her family, know better. We know Harriet's light guided more than the records could ever capture. Right. She freed bodies, yes, but she also freed minds. Yes, yes. She gave direction to the lost, courage to the weary, and hope to those who thought freedom was impossible. Her work cannot be measured in numbers. Her work is measured in legacy. I'm one. You're one. We all are one. Even now, as we walk the same roads and cross the same streams and breathe the same air, this land remembers. The land carries footsteps of those who fought, those who prayed, and those who survived. Our history cannot be erased and cannot be deleted, and it cannot be destroyed. But let me tell you something important. Harriet's work is not finished. The Underground Railroad does not end with this historical marker. It does not end with a page in a textbook. It does not end with freedom papers. Because we are still fighting poverty, fighting inequality, fighting discrimination, and fighting ignorance. Until every chain is broken, Harriet's mission must remain our mission. And hear me clearly, the Underground Railroad is still under construction. So today, I'm asking you, not just to honor Harriet, but to join us. Join the Ross family in carrying her plan forward. Stay engaged with us, walk with us, because we are not done. We have more projects ahead, more ways to honor Harriet, and more opportunities to keep her story alive, not just in history books, but in living action. Yes. And on behalf of the Ross family, I would like to say thank you to MDOT and to the Maryland Historical Trust for giving Harriet another rightful place in the light of truth. And a special thanks again to the archaeology team for confirming what we already knew in our hearts. And no one could tell our truth better than those who lived it. And so as I close, I'll leave you with this. Harriet's plan is not the past. It is in our hands right now. And together, we must carry it on.
Thank you for that. So we've never had a live performance at an historical marker unveiling before. This is our first. And I'm excited because I don't think I've ever heard you in person. So I'd like to introduce you, Jayla Elise. And she's going to be presenting Dorchester Dreams for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. As she said, my name is Jayla Elise, and about a year ago, when I moved to Dorchester County, I don't know what I would have thought to expect or what I would have thought would have come from it. But as I've been here for a year, I got a chance to learn so much about how rich the history is, how wonderful the people of the community here is. And from that, I actually was able to write a song, thank you, Sahali Gilpin, called Dorchester Dreams, which now stands as the official Dorchester County anthem. But I want to stand here and thank our wonderful leaders like Harriet Tubman, who have carved a pathway for us young people to create our own legacy. And without her taking those big risks, I don't know where we would be. So this is Dorchester Dreams. Winding roads, they lead me home, down by the shore where the marshlands whispers I've been here before, with the skies painted gold as the sun dips low in Dorchester's arms. That's all I know. Oh, Dorchester County, where the river runs free, with the echoes of my roots calling right back to me. Feel of the water, calm of the breeze, Dorchester dreams like waves on the Chesapeake. For you and me, Brookview, Vienna, Hurlock, Church Creek, all left their ways left calling to me. Eldorado and Cambridge, Secretary, history runs deep, there was more memories. East Newmarket, Galestown, and it carries my past and it carries my now. And every sunrise I see it can. Dorchester dreams are here to last. It's the heart of the bay, it's the soul of the land. I'll always be home in the fresh golden sand, 'cause wherever I wander, I'll understand. Dorchester County, where the river runs free, with the echoes of our roots calling right back to me. Feel of the water, calm of a breeze, Dorchester dreams are for you and me. Thank you. All right. Well, all right. Okay. Well, this next song is called "The Heart of Maryland," and the fun fact about this song, it was actually born from Dorchester Dreams as I was sitting at the Cambridge Women's Club, and it was discovered Dorchester Dreams, and they asked for a song for the Maryland 250 project. But this song, "The Heart of Maryland," is currently being pushed and in hopes become our first official Maryland state song, thanks to Senator Brooks writing a bill to hopefully make this pass. So this is "The Heart of Maryland." Together we stand in the heart of this land. Through steel and stone, we call this place home. Through the cannon roar and the battle cries, Maryland waved against the sky. From the harbor's tide to the mountain streams, we built a home to chase our dreams. We are Maryland, bold and free, born to fire, shaped by every single trial, every storm. door leaves you wanting more. Together we stand in the heart of this land. These feelings don't we call this place home, where the history lives and the families thrive. Maryland's spirit stays alive. We've weathered time, we've stood as one, creating hope with every sun. With unity we find our song, right here where we all belong. You'll free your soul, you'll free your mind. Here in Maryland, leave no one behind. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And thank you to Harriet family. This last song is called America's Calling, and it is was asked by America 250 to represent every single state in the nation as America turns 250 years next year. So this is America's Calling. This is the hope of tomorrow, where our children will stand. Started from ashes, turned the dust to land. Through the valleys of struggle, mountains of pain, people united and the strength remains. With the new life we bring, together we sing, America, America. The stars within the skies, you'll take on every cry. America, America. We had to take our time to make our country thrive. America, America. To the flag that still waves, the home of the brave. To the people who wore armor, to the soldiers who still fight, we salute to your honor. I pray for you at night. To the people of the sun that calls this place home, together we are one and we'll never be alone. Red, white, blue is calling you. We've seen it through. We hold these truths to America, America. To the anthem that we sing, we will let the freedom ring. America, America. Thank the ones before, because we're forevermore. Red, white, blue is calling you. We've seen it through. We hold these truths. Red, white, blue is calling you. We've seen it through. We hold these truths. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dorchester County.
Okay, so on the count of three, we're gonna pull the ribbon. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, My name is Veronica Mays. I'm a quilt artist from Portsmouth, Rhode Island. I have 3 pieces in the show, including the Lady Moses silhouette, the Lady Moses 3 quilt, and Nurse Harriet. I'd like to read a poem I wrote about Harriet. When I took on Lady Moses, I have to let you know she was a shero that wouldn't let me go. Harriet Tubman, so divine you are, you found a way to freedom following the North Star. But that's not all. To the South you returned, taking advantage of those lessons you learned. Time and time again to the rescue you went, using godly guidance. Your energy was spent in those whose lives you wanted to change, family and others who could now rearrange if they chose their goals, their dreams, their say. Imagine if you had been any other way. Lady Moses, amazing you are. Fearless, hopeful, you raised the bar of what it means to be a leader on this earth. Such a sacrificial life. You're a woman of worth. I had to get to know you. That's what I did. At that time, I was just a little kid. I just couldn't imagine how Araminta thrived. Took a blow to the head and still she survived. They put the dogs on her, put a bounty on her head. Willing to pay, alive or dead. Your backbone was one of a kind. To this day, it blows my mind. Harriet, Harriet, here's to your story. Hallelujah, to God be the glory. Thank you. God bless you. When I walked into the Harriet Tubman Freedom Center, I was awed by the beautiful artworks, the feeling of completeness in telling a story of someone who was so magnificently important, so divinely gifted to all of us, to the world. And so I'm so grateful for the kinds of art that I'm seeing, the paintings, the photography, the quilts, the fellowship, the sisterhood and the brotherhood that's here. I'm just so grateful that we have had her and we still have her 200 years later. It's a gift. She is a gift. Lady Harriet, you are such a gem and we're so grateful. I'm so grateful for what you did, how you did it, how you succeeded, how you avoided being arrested and taken back, and how you went back for others, how sacrificial you were. And so I'm grateful from the bottom of my heart to be able to convey that gratitude through my work.